2, 1.
Tune into the podcast, killing everybody, taking dog tags. Dog, this is awesome. It's Optimus Prime and your quadrant and talking, and you got that. I was in a mind when I crafted this. The dungeon master's wrath with the dash is sick. I dash like Sonic Mad, not a pacifist, but pacifist the tracks when I'm rapping, kids. We the last of us, the master race. Take him with a master hand, it's cancerous. I hit him with the master sword, and sure I make a nice sword, but I wonder how 4 guys make a Triforce.
Hey guys, welcome to the Trinity Force podcast. My name is Adam Potophobia Cogswell, and I'm your host for this evening. You guys are listening to episode number 142. We have a very special guest on this week. I don't know why I call you special. Like, that's just something that comes out.
I'm just special. Let's just get it out of the way. Like, I am your fucking soulmate.
We brought him on to tell you guys why he can't do the LCS T-Force rundown anymore, and it's not because of microphone
Oh,
issues.
you can't? You brought me on to put me on the spot?
Yep, right now.
Yep.
To start the podcast out.
What's the deal, man?
Wait, what did I tell you again?
Get your story straight. Come on.
I like everyone to chat.
The reason I'm not doing that podcast anymore, though, by the way, is because
He doesn't have a beard.
it's literally like you have to watch all the games and put the time into analyzing them, and it just made my like relaxation time of watching LCS not relaxing at all.
Okay. So now you can't smoke weed, play with your penis, and watch the LCS because you're going to put so much time into it.
Well, no, I can.
Before, if you got distracted because you had to clean up, you might miss a really big play.
Well, it was literally like I didn't realize how unanalytical I am normally when I just watch the games. And it's like a fucking job trying to be analytical watching those games.
Whoa, watch your mouth. None of that fucking swear shit on this podcast, all right?
My fucking bad. I've been drinking. They've been slipping. Which I took like a 2-week break from drinking, so I'm sloshed off one drink.
Why?
Now. This is my first drink and I'm sloshed. No, I don't know why I decided to take 2 weeks off. I just did.
Because he could, just to prove that he could.
To do with
Just to I guess I had to like prove it to myself. Like, no, I could stop drinking. Or am I just one of those assholes that says I could and never does?
All right, guys, don't forget that I actually have a new announcement for the news this week, and that's Battle Arena. It goes live every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, between 8 and 9 p.m., depending when we can get stuff together. Battle Arena is between Wrecker and myself. We sit down and we cast your guys' games. And so we bring bronze to gold level players in, and they all cast we cast the games and try to teach you how to get better at this game. Stop it, Dom! You're ruining my fucking
I read the note that you left for yourself in there, and it's just
No, I left that note for him.
Oh.
We were talking for the LCS, and he was like, "Yeah, I never pimped the Battle Arena on the podcast." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I'm gonna go leave you in right now." So I left him that.
Dom's like,
I didn't see that until just now. So
I just added it on Thursday. So
yeah, I was like, Dom cleaned up his podcast and left that in there.
I never look at that section.
Yeah, so guys, Battle Arena, if you guys want to get better at this game and you want us to tell you why you are good, bad, or in between, join Battle Arena. You have to join in-game chat channel T-Force on NA. And we post the lobby. You join the lobby. Again, bronze to gold level players. You play the game, and then we try to do 2 or 3 games a night. Usually it's been about 2, but and we get really drunk and just make fun of everybody. It's a lot of fun.
It is. It was fun. I think we actually did like pretty good job casting last week too, considering we're not casters.
It's constructive making fun of people, though. It's not just,
Yeah,
you'll learn stuff by watching these.
For the most part.
And by playing them.
By playing them, definitely. I think some of the big things people have learned is how to properly build or level up their champions, or where they should be at what times in the game. Like, there's a lot of, why are you split pushing at this point? Why are you?
I think that was kind of like most of our comments is like where people are at any point in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's easy to pick it apart when you're a spectator that sees everything. You can't really see it while you're playing, but maybe if you pick 1 or 2 things that Pwn and Wrecker discover and try to concentrate on improving it, you'll get better. And then move on from there.
Yeah, so we got DeClaude actually listening to it on some Thursdays, so you get to hear us from the other end. So it's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's good that our criticism is somewhat constructive, no matter how off the wall we get.
Oh, believe me, you're a douchebag too, and I'll call you out in the Twitch chat. But
who's the bigger douchebag? I have to know.
Pwn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Douchebag.
Yeah.
I'm a really big douchebag, though.
He is. He is.
Yeah, try
He
playing
does a good
actual
job with
games
that.
with him. Wait till you see that come out.
I did really good this weekend. I made it to Plat 3, baby. Moving up in the
did?
world.
I'm
much
also
rage-
at 4 now.
how much
actually.
rage was
I
involved?
finished my promo series that we couldn't finish together. Yeah,
Awesome.
There was one bout of rage. Ass wrecker. One bout. And it was the last
actually, it
game
was
of the
pretty
night.
good because we won every game but one. So, like, one bout of
did-
rage for one loss.
guys
That
played a
makes
lot.
sense.
A lot
That
of good
makes
dueling.
complete sense. Yeah, it was actually
I
pretty
noticed
good.
you played a lot of Thresh between the two of you.
Thresh and off.
Thresh is a big pickup.
I main Thresh and Leona in solo queue now. And
There you go.
I have like a 60% win rate with Thresh.
Thresh.
Played like
Wes?
I'm apparently 4 years old now tonight.
Oh my god, I want a Wes skin.
You also played Wenecton. And,
Leona.
Oh man.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I think out of like 60 games of solo queue, I've won 40. So not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
yeah, that's awesome.
I played Thresh.
You guys
made
are kicking
plays.
ass. Diamond
Oh,
is
yeah.
right around the corner, guys.
I'm not even worried about it. Well, I said before I wasn't going to play and try to make it to Diamond this early because there's no incentive for me to. Because I'm like, my league personality isn't based on my rank. So seeing Plat 3 doesn't really help me think that I'm any better or worse. But now that I play with Wrecker on a Sunday, I might have to sit down and duo with this asshole again on another week.
We actually did really, really well, especially when we got the like top jungle positions. I think those were probably our best games. We just took over games.
He does. Adam does better when he plays with somebody who like just keeps him even keeled. Like that.
Yeah.
That's what I found playing with him because like at the end of last season, the grind there. I was just like, hey, let's just do this. I guess I should get to gold. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait, Dom. I'm like 5 games from flat. Just keep playing with me. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. I don't care.
I don't care, whatever. Guys, no, we cannot take this podcast seriously for 1 second. We are not a serious podcast. We have never given you.
Wait,
guys
we're doing a
serious information. No.
That's
Wait,
what we're
I think-
calling this.
Yeah.
I think we should strive to be a serious podcast, though. You know, on Sirius satellite radio.
I want to
That
be a
would be pretty
serious podcast, guys.
You guys are assholes.
We'd be
I made one slip up.
serious.
Guys, we need to get sweetiest right now. Don't forget that we have an Audible trial, audibletrial.com/T-Force podcast. After you've listened to the T-Force LCS rundown, the Trinity Force podcast, and the OzLOL podcast, you guys can go to audibletrial.com/T-Force podcast. Sign up for a 30-day free trial of Audible. Grab your one free audiobook and help support us. Other than that, there's a donation button out there on the website. Go ahead and donate to the podcast. And for those of you that are wondering where the T-Force LCS rundown is at, it is either coming or not coming. So hopefully by Wednesday you will have a podcast. Other
My
than
button
that,
around the corner.
that's right. Other than that, that is everything for this week's. I will have more news for you guys on Wednesday. So tune in then. With that said, let's talk about some League of Legends discussion.
You rolled that off. You really you switched gears and you just flew through that.
Yeah, like somebody complained in Twitch chat. That's all it takes is just like one complaint and
Yeah,
Home switches gears.
Yeah, I was pretty good. Impressed.
Thanks. I have a hosting experience. I know how to reel it back in. I just
Yeah,
have too much fun.
you never like roll it out that quickly.
I have too much fun.
You were just
myself talk.
on and words and then boom, time to go.
Let's just keep giving
And
me more
I'm derailing
compliments.
us.
More compliments. Come on. I want to bask in it. Oh, yes. Some.
You're such a good host. You must be covered in parasites. I'm just saying.
God damn it, Declan. All right, let's do a little bit of LCS discussion. We're going to do some of those. Talk about the champions that are being played or new champions that we see. We didn't talk about Irelia last week, right? We didn't get to that?
Not. No,
Okay.
this is new. I just put that in today.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Yep.
So,
We talked about it on the battle arena for a few minutes though.
and then I yelled about how much I hate Wicked, so this will be fun.
Yeah.
Want me
Yeah.
to do it?
Yeah, you know what? Take it. I'll let you do this.
So,
Take it away, Dom.
if you guys are not watching any LCS at all, you need to know that Wicked on Alliance has been playing Aurelia this season. He's the only guy that's played her, but he is currently 5-1. And for a champion that is widely considered to be like not fitting of the current meta, that to me that's like actually a big deal. Now, if you don't know it, Aurelia is a long-time main of Wicked's, and so some of this is just him showing his prowess with the champion. But at the highest level of play, at a certain point, I kind of have to start to wonder if a champion has sort of been I don't know, overlooked or just wasn't getting enough credit for, for her strengths and all that type of stuff. And so since we normally have two top laners, now we got Pone, and Wrecker always has a lot of insight. So I kind of wanted to throw this out to the team.
Not always. Not always. Don't put me on the spot.
Sometimes.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about it now that 4.3 has hit, because everything they were playing on was the 4.2 patch. So this was before the Doran Shield nerf.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think that does make her a little better, because if those of you don't know how Wicked plays Aurelia, he does run HP regen quints on her to add. It's basically adding an extra Doran Shield once you add the 3 quints. So he starts Doran Shield, has that extra Doran Shield, and is able to sustain in lane. And she's like the queen of last hitting in her tower because of the true damage off of Heat and Style. So
that and
Blade Surge. Right.
Yep.
The refresh, yep.
So she's not going to necessarily win lane by killing the opponent, because more than likely she's not going to kill somebody, especially like Trundle, who's going to sustain, and Renekton's going to shove her out for a fair bit of the game until about level 9 or so. And so she just has to sit up there and sustain. But the way Wicked's been playing her, he's been doing a lot of farming the tower and then roaming. There's been a lot of teleports bottom lane for dragon fights. There's been a lot of teleports into the bottom lane to help with ganks. And he hasn't necessarily been sitting up in top lane and trying to win top lane. He's been just trying to farm the best he can, and then turns that around into helping his team out. And then Aurelia does hit a point, especially if she gets Trinity Force, where she does a lot of damage with the increased attack speed from Trinity Force, the procs from Sheen, using Blade Surge and Heat and Style, and of course the true damage brought in with that.
Yeah, the true damage is what makes her a good late game threat against their front line. So she can help in that regard. I used to ban her season 2. She used to be a popular ban choice.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
But something happened. And
forgot about that.
That was a long time ago.
I forgot about that.
That was so long ago.
I hated playing against
when you
Aurelia.
what did you build? Wit's End and what the hell
Madred's
preceded
Blood
Static
Razors.
Shiv? Madred's, or what the hell was the other one?
The Blood Racers.
No, the Lightning one.
Yeah, what is it called? Oh my god.
Before
Optimus Tom loved that thing.
Yeah.
I don't
And
care.
everybody was building it on Shen by the end of the season. What
Where's
the hell
Optimus
was that
Tom?
thing
What was
called?
that item you loved?
Ah,
Static. It doesn't.
it
Anyway,
was the precursor to Static
Whatever.
Shiv.
Yeah.
It's just more lightning. So she just has more shooting with the lightning and things going.
It was
crazy.
health and attack speed. What more could you ask for out of an item? When
Yeah,
you're
but she would
Aurelia?
also build
Top,
Philo
yep.
Stone and Heart of Gold and sit in the lane for 20 minutes
Sure.
and gain tons of,
Oh, yeah.
Anybody
passive.
can do that.
Ionic Spark.
Thank you.
Ionic Spark.
Oh,
That was
yeah,
Thank you,
gonna
Honey
kill
Badger.
me.
Thank you, Twitch chat. You guys are awesome.
Yes, right. Thank you. So with that said, Irelia, I think that was him flexing his muscles, not necessarily showing how good Irelia is, because I don't think anyone can play Irelia. Well, no one can play as Irelia as good as Wicked, in my opinion, because he's had so much time in her. I mean, it's pretty much all he played during season 2, and if you couldn't get that, it was Shen for a while, because we always ragged on Wicked for never playing AP champions top lane when AP champions were kind of coming into the favor. Rumble and Vladimir come to mind back then.
Quick observation for Wicked playing Aurelia too. When he busted her out that one match, you saw there was discussion with him and his team as he was hovering over Aurelia, and he clarified. They thought, okay, you wanted to play Aurelia, but they wanted you to play one of the more popular picks. It was the other way around. His team was saying, play Aurelia. We love your Aurelia. It fits this comp. Play it. And he's like, because he was uncomfortable because of the meta. But then he played her and he kicked ass. So I think that bolsters his confidence even more, and we're seeing more picks for
I
Aurelia.
think
And that
now-
just proves our point earlier. If you play a champion, you're comfortable, and you were really good at that champion, you'll make it work.
Good point. Yeah, if you can play a champion to the highest level, you can make him work in any situation. That's why people write him about Froggins and Nivea. It's the same way. I think he can play.
Can't wait to
against
see
anybody.
Poppy and the LCS.
So it's
It's gonna be a
Kent. We just
monster.
wait for Kent to bust that out when he gets to
Yep.
play on Curse again.
I can't wait.
How long's it been since he was a top laner?
It's probably season 2.
Well, he played Poppy, so what's that tell you?
So never. Now in 4.3, I think Aurelia is going to start making a comeback, because I said this on Battle Arena. In my opinion, top lane is now becoming the hyper carry lane. We started seeing it at the end of 4.2 with Mundo going out of favor because, excuse me, so I can't drink shitty beer.
This is why.
Yeah, makes me very gassy. Everyone needs to know that. But Irelia, now in 4.3, Doran Shield's nerf has gone through, Perseverance nerf hit in 4.1, and the hyper carries are now coming in the top lane because they can start pushing out the tanks because the tanks can't sustain for as long. So you have to, hyper carry to hyper carry. We saw Aatrox is coming up there. I just think Aurelia is going to be seeing more play, not necessarily in the LCS, but probably solo queue, normal, blind pick, whatever it may be. And with that being said, we've been touting Olaf for a few weeks now. The Irelia Olaf matchup is actually a skill matchup. It's pretty much 5-5 based on how well you know how to play Irelia.
Yeah,
I mean,
Olaf pretty much has the advantage early, but it's not hard for Aurelia to just farm and sustain and get past that.
Right.
Just going along with like what you've been saying, just this week in LCS alone, we saw Shen, Olaf, Ryze, and Jace all get play in top lane. And while the Shen and Olaf picks were both on the 4.2 patch, that Ryze and Jace made a comeback sort of really, really suggests that top lane is quickly going away from the tank meta. I still think we're going to see a lot of Shyvana up there, but that's more because she has been a good champion for a long time and people just kind of forgot about her.
Right. I think she'll get picked a lot early, and then people will start picking more Aatrox and Jax as we go on, and then we'll see Irelias and Olafs coming up there. I would not be surprised to start seeing Lissandra go back up the top lane either if they are blue side.
We'll probably see a lot more Jax. Jax is one who I think is going to gain in popularity quickly.
I mean, again, he's just he's just been making a comeback quietly, even independent
quietly.
of the.
Weren't we calling Jax to be overpowered at the beginning of Season 4, or was that the end of Season 3? I can't remember what our prediction was.
I mean, either way, it's
well,
Jax.
we
He's always
were
got an
calling it at
opportunity
the
to
end
be
of Season
overpowered.
3, but that was before
Mastery.
That was before we realized just how good that Perseverance Mastery was.
Right. So to turn this into another discussion, we've been talking about it. We're seeing tweaks on the PvE to a lot of the popular junglers. At least I wasn't going to really touch on this too much, but this kind of goes hand in hand with the conversation. It happens to me every week, Dom. Lee Sin is seeing a tweak. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Don't need to talk about it. That big a deal. Elise is seeing a giant tweak. Kha'Zix is seeing a tweak out of the jungle. I'm forgetting one. I want to say Vi is the only one that hasn't been touched yet.
Vi hasn't been touched yet.
But with that
Which is
said,
weird because she gets picked all the time, and she basically has a win now button in her kit. But what do you do?
A lot of these champions, these carry junglers, are now slowly getting hit. And that also leads me to believe that we're going to start seeing more Jarvans or Malakais. And it's going to go back to Season 2 again, where it's hyper carry, tank, jungler.
That's probably going to end up being the case with all the other junglers, like you said, getting the hit. That's kind of like the fallback once those guys get hit is, okay, well, now I got a tank for these other guys that have gold.
Which is good for marksman mains.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden they don't have tanks that are just diving on them and sitting on them all day.
Right.
They got hyper carriers that are
especially
coming
with as
in,
much
but
as junglers camp the bot lane in the current
Yeah.
meta. They're always in the bot lane. It's basically a 3v3 lane.
and there's a difference between a tank jungler camping you and a goddamn carry
And an
jungler.
Urgot jungler.
Yeah. Or a Kha'Zix coming in and jumping on face.
I don't think Kha'Zix, you still see a lot of him in solo queue. He hasn't fallen in favor there because he can snowball in solo queue very early.
I
He
don't
played a
think
lot
you're
in
gonna see
North
him in
America
jungle at all,
last
though.
week.
I don't think you're going to see Kha'Zix jungle at all.
He got
I
some
don't
play
know.
last week, didn't he?
That
Yeah.
huge Q nerf is just so big for taking those objectives.
He got
It's going
played
to
quite
slow
a
him
bit.
down, that's for sure.
It's partially just because he was making it through bans, but he was on they were on the 4.3 patch, and he
C9
got
played him.
Really?
C9
Yeah.
played him, yeah. Because Meteos
Didn't
was
they
on
play him in the mid lane?
No.
Nope.
Meteos played him with a LeBlanc, and they were just making plays in the mid lane, snowballing each other.
In the EU LCS, who played in mid lane?
But we have to remember that was 4.2.
I think that was Alex Leach.
That's where we talk about.
Alex Each. Yeah, it was Alex Each. You're right.
I hate that when we're talking about Super Week now and talk about the champions that were made, or that got played. It's 4.2 and 4.3. They both were on the same patch, so it's really hard to.
Kinda
decide.
messed
So that was
up.
before
Yep.
the Kha'Zix nerfs?
Yeah, Super Week
Yeah.
for EU was on
Oh,
4.2.
okay. I wouldn't be surprised to not see him in the LCS.
Yeah, he did get played last week quite a bit, and it's and he did quite well, but he snowballed early a lot of those games and snowballed hard.
Yeah.
Just like what
I don't know.
Kha'Zix does. So
I've been wrong before.
Evelyn definitely going to still continue to see play. We saw a lot of play in the LCS.
Evelyn definitely huge. That
Oh, yeah.
was as soon as they made those changes to her, I told you, Adam, she's going to be built 80 now and still be a monster.
I said the same thing on the show. I said the same thing.
Yeah, I was like, that change to her E is just going to make her incredibly good with like Blade of the Ruin King and stuff.
Sorry, I've got a dog distracting me.
Adam shot me
I
down.
think they're playing her cooldown.
Didn't believe.
He shot me down too because I come up with like these random jungler builds all the time just because like
you and your Karma jungle?
Well, just because like a jungler I like to play gets nerfed. Oh yeah, Karma jungler is funny. But just because like a jungler I like to play gets nerfed, I like to like try and build it another way to make it still effective. And Adam always shoots me down. He's like, "No, they got nerfed. You're so bad." But the Karma jungle, I didn't realize Adam invited me to a ranked game, and I just picked Karma jungle. I'm like, fuck it. I did amazing though. I got like every dragon pushed every lane, and like he was playing Olaf in the top lane and got super fed, so I was just utility for Olaf.
Yeah, it was great. They tried to dive us. I think it was like 3v2. We took them out because Karma shields are OP. Yeah, no, Karma's great if you know how to play her.
Hell yeah, I love jungle Karma. That's one of my favorite.
I like support Karma.
Dog, I'm trying to podcast. Get the fuck out of here. Go.
Adam's dog likes Karma.
My dog is...
No, that's Dogma.
I knew that was coming.
I didn't, and I like that one. It doesn't usually happen, but I did like that one.
I saw it coming like as he said it. I was like, oh, Dogma. And then he was saying it as I thought it.
Wrecker is too busy coughing.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of the off-kilter champions that have been picked. Let's jump into some listener questions as we try to blow through these. I think
this is like my favorite part of the podcast is listener questions.
I know, that's why I was happy to have you on, because you're a listener question fan. All right. Charles writes in, we've seen a non-trivial number of lane swaps in LCS play, and in most cases it's resulted in both teams quickly taking middle turrets in the swapped lane. This is something you almost never see in solo queue or even ranked fives. Do you think this is an opportunity waiting to be exploited? What do you think the holdup is?
Really, the biggest thing is just for lower elo players, it's harder to make a play like this because it's such team-wide coordination across the entire map, not just in one lane.
To a degree, a lot of it really depends on the jungler knowing what to do in this situation. And a lot of junglers out there across all skill levels don't know what they're supposed to do in the 2v1 because conventional wisdom kind of suggests you're supposed to help out that disadvantaged lane. But to make this strategy work, you have to send your jungler to the lane where you already have the advantage to push those towers down quickly. And
the reason being is just you can't defend. You can't defend off the 3v2 push, so you have to go try and push 3v1 and get the equal trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also you have to know the matchups. You have to know, you can't just do it for the hell of it. You gotta know, okay, we won't win this lane 2v2, so we need to do a swap. So we can just farm out here and press the advantage elsewhere. So you don't just say, hey, let's do it. Just do it.
Weren't 1v2s kind of what were killing Aurelia in the first place?
Yes.
Like just back I was gonna say like
any kind of hyper carry like that where like they're farm dependent in lane.
But someone like Olaf who can reasonably like last hit and keep people at bay while under a tower and everything is gonna have it's a different story for him. Or like
he was considered like one of the best 1v2ers for a while actually.
Oh yeah, maxing undertow. He still is probably one of the best 1v2ers because you can max.
Yeah, you give him blue buff and he just stay there forever.
Right.
I mean, if you had to pick like 4 1v2 champions to, be in that matchup, if you're on the one side, like 4
Olaf,
champions.
Shen, Renekton.
Those are the exact 3 I was thinking. Yeah,
I'd say Renekton. Olaf
Shen because he can have
Shen
the
surprises me.
Shen because he can have the map presence, not because he has the 1v2. He's not because he's good in the 1v2, but because he's good at putting pressure elsewhere.
Okay.
And just losing the turret.
Okay, so the map okay, that's taking the question in a different direction, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It makes sense then.
Those would be my top 3.
I don't really know what a 4th would be though, because those are the exact 3 I was thinking. Was
Vlad good in that?
No,
he needs farm.
He doesn't have enough damage early to do anything, and he can't. He has too low a base health and armor.
He just gets zoned till like level 8.
They did a lot of Rumble last season. I don't know about if they would.
Rumble because he's good off his base damage on his ult.
Exactly. I was going to say the same. Yeah. It's the same as the Shen syndrome. Once you hit 6, the game changes because you have great wave clear or you have great initiation. Remember we talked to XDG, we talked to No Saiyan about the dive and Rumble bottom, and Rumble took them out 2v1 because of his ultimate and how he played the fight. and it was all base damage. So
Yeah. Just magic penetration and base damage is pretty much like what low
Rumble's
farm
great.
builds.
You should play more Rumble, Adam.
no,
No, you shouldn't. Don't tell him that.
He shouldn't.
Rumble is my Zyra.
Yeah, man.
Wait, you can't play Zyra, really?
I
No,
cannot
Dom
play
can play
Zyra. I do
Oh my
not
god, Zyra
like that
used to be
champion.
like my favorite support.
I cannot make that champion work for me. It doesn't matter what I try. Like it's all just disastrous. Everybody, like, I appreciate the efforts people make to try and explain this champion to me, but there's just something that doesn't click. And everybody keeps, like, for a while, people kept throwing out different ways that I needed to go about it or explaining how it works. I understand what she's supposed to do. I just can't do it.
It's pretty much how
she
I
does.
feel.
She plays way differently than most supports would.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. There's just some kind of disconnect between how you're supposed to use her abilities and how I actually use them, and that's what's causing a lot of trouble for me.
I have a question about Zyra, going off on this tangent a little bit here. Why isn't she better season 4 support?
Oh, she will be. They will be picking her back up soon.
Right.
With
agree,
the recent changes to the support items, she's gonna
It was
come
Doran's
roaring back
shield.
on this.
The spell
So
thief.
she took a pretty significant nerf right before season 4, which is really what put her out of favor. And then like Thresh, Leona, Annie, which just crushed
Because
her
of
if
Doran's
she's
No
shield.
point in even playing her with that. Okay.
Because she couldn't poke
Yeah.
back against those champions because they were just rejecting their life too far
Exactly.
up to do anything.
Yeah.
But she was picked in season. She was picked prior to all these changes, even Perseverance change, because she is a great counter to Annie. A lot of people found her as because it can keep Annie at bay between roots and and doing enough damage to her with the plants, and also the ultimate is a great counter initiate to Annie's initiate because it zones them out, because she has to flash stun Tibbers to start a fight, and that gives you that extra 2 seconds or whatever it was, 1.75 seconds it used to be. So
something I don't remember.
1.5 now.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was
she's-
1.75. But throwing down that Strangle Thorns also prevented any, it gave you extra time or prevented anything from happening.
She's climbed into the top 20 winningest champions. She's sitting above 50%, and people are building Frost Queen's Claim and Sorcerer's Shoes and Leandry's on her, and that makes absolute perfect sense to me. With just the frequency that you can cast her spells at this point, it's not like Morgana pain coming down with the Frost Queen box, but
The gold you can get just for the level
Yeah.
1 spell
Yep.
thief. Harass.
the changes to that item helped her out a lot. And then, as Adam correctly pointed out, the Doran's Shield stuff.
Helped out brand support too. Have you played brand support at all, Don?
I have not, but that's only it's
You
not for
have
lack of
to.
interest.
You have to.
I am intrigued by that one.
It's so
I have a
much
question.
fun.
If Malefic Visions does the hop, does it give you gold each time it hops?
I think it gives you gold each time it ticks.
Malzahar support.
Maybe.
There you go.
Don't give people ideas. We already get enough emails about off-court sports. I'm sick
Well,
of
I'm gonna
I'm
try.
sick of putting them all together
It's like
and going,
75% of the emails you get.
yeah, like Zach supported, Nivea support. Why isn't this played? I don't know. You tell me.
It's like, how are there so many people writing in about support, but nobody plays support in solo queue?
I love support solo queue. I love playing Thresh and setting stuff up. Actually, I had a really good. The time I played Thresh, I had a really good Caitlyn who got a double kill at like level 3 without my help. All I did was throw a W down. I'm like, all right, this is great.
I played a game earlier where Vayne was like, oh fuck, we gotta play passive. I accidentally have AP runes and masteries. We ended up just crushing the lane. Vayne had like 18 kills coming out of the laning phase. It was ridiculous.
All right,
So
let's
AP
move-
Vayne for all you out there.
Yeah, don't play it. Moving on to the next question here. Tamid writes in, you guys touched on adding more time to champion select for swap discussion. We touched on that? How long ago
Yeah, it was
this?
a while back.
Sorry, but what if Riot added the option for players to swap pick positions, so the second and fourth picks could swap spots, for example? Obviously, you're going to run into trolls, but overall, do you think this could help address some swap issues in champion select?
I think that's a good idea.
You mean, swap your pick order?
Correct.
That
Yeah.
would be cool. I'm not sure how it would work on the back end. Doesn't seem like it'd be too difficult to
I
program
mean, the way I
in,
just
but
imagine it is everybody always stays in the order, and if you trade, then when it's their turn to pick, you pick instead.
Oh,
maybe
that's
unless
a good
you're a
idea.
duo. Maybe if you're a duo,
When we
just
first
disable that
got this
option.
question,
But
I actually had a response that was against it, but I can't remember what that was now. So
I don't like it. In solo queue, I'm not too keen on this because a lot of people don't talk in solo queue, and I don't think this is going to force people to talk any more or less. And
Yeah, but like with ranked fives, why not just give them the ability to organize your pick order before going into a game?
I was getting
That I agree
think,
with.
I think ranked fives, you have to. I don't understand why you wouldn't allow them to organize your ranked fives.
I actually can't believe that hasn't been implemented yet, other than maybe like ranked fives isn't as big of a focus, so they just don't take the time to do it.
You would think with,
I don't know,
with
with
the Coke League and the Challenger Series and all of that they would actually
I know,
put
right?
time into it. So this is what happens when we have too many
No,
listener questions and stuff going on.
It's, I don't know, like to a degree, I kind of think it would just, I mean, it kind of removes the relevance of champion swapping. So I guess you wouldn't, like, I don't think you can have both. And I think there's a little bit more strategic element to champion swapping than there is to really like pick order swapping. Like in ranked fives, I do like the idea that you could like of arranging your pick order beforehand, and if you have to if you want then get into the match and you want to do champion swap, that's fine. But like in a game itself, I don't like a solo queue game. I don't know that I like the idea that you could do both. Like because all of a sudden, like my account becomes more valuable, for lack of a better term, because I own all the champions compared to somebody who's picking last, because I can get one of those high priority picks that
Right.
a first pick might not otherwise have, and then we would lose out on.
I guess that makes sense, but what if like you could only trade positions? And
Yeah, if you could only trade positions, then I guess I'm okay with it. It's a weird situation, and you end up doing a similar thing. Although I would probably just always swap to last because that meant support's almost always still picking last.
yeah.
But
But I mean, if you're playing
Support
sport
first
anyway,
is
you're
still-
probably gonna end up going up to the top.
no, I just meant in solo queue, like everybody, like if you
Because
call
no one
roles
wants,
and
yeah.
and you like if you call mid but your last pick, you're playing support probably.
Oh.
See, I don't see people. I don't see it being any better or worse for solo queue. I think the way the champion trading right now works, it works great. But in solo queue, you don't know who you're playing against, so you're just banning generic bans. You don't know who's gonna pick what. You don't know. You don't know if you pick cat first that they can actually counter it. Like all these things kind of go into my decision. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and pick Rise first because I'm gonna play into whatever matchup I can play into because I'm confident in my ability to play that champion, and I think that's part of solo queue is the unknown.
All right, so I gotta ask, did you just pick Rise or do you actually play Rise? I've never seen you play Rise.
I rode
I
Rise for a
played
bit.
like
You used to play Rise a lot.
I played a decent number of games with you at this point. I've never once seen you play Rise.
I like record. I ran solo queue. I ran through a lot of the low gold with Rise.
He's making a resurgence, but by the way, so
That
I
buff
can
got
see you
huge.
playing Rise and succeeding rather well.
I would not be surprised to see Rise being a huge champion.
Yeah.
I got tweets last week when I was over at Bachfest on Friday night. That were from Raymond Flint, or if you don't follow him, Punchinello and Urtai on Twitter. One was like, "Don't tell Pone that Rise just got played in the top lane." And the next one, sorry, and the next one was, "Yeah, Pone can play anything. Don't worry about it."
Don't worry about it. Got this. I can play that.
So someone take the next question, please.
Next question. Volcano Techie writes, I was a high gold, low plat jungler in Season 3, but Season 4 has been unkind to me. My preference is for tanky junglers and an herbivore playstyle, but I feel like Season 4 has completely punished my approach, partially due to the tanky top lane meta. What can I do to adjust my playstyle without completely going back to the drawing board and switching to a less preferred role? Wrecker.
Really, the biggest thing that I've done to adapt to the current meta when wanting to play a tanky herbivore is play something like Udyr or Nunu, which can be that herbivore, but also punish the enemy jungler while being the herbivore. I haven't necessarily tried to play anything like Nautilus too much, which is kind of like a tanky herbivore that needs a lot of gold, so I can't say how to play those. Other than just don't, because they don't do well in the current meta, even though I always told about how awesome Nautilus is.
I mean, good news for Volcano Techie is that some of the top lane meta, we are pretty convinced it's going to be shifting in the near future, and
You could be
along
like
with
the
that
next
is the
god tier
herbivore, yeah.
jungler now.
yeah, like you might just be I don't want to say a benefactor of happenstance here.
Yeah, I think your timing is good here. Your preferred playstyle is probably going to come back into the meta here. So just be
Likely.
patient and keep doing what you like to do. And I always recommend Sejuani. even in the current meta. So there's your tanky jungler right there.
Josh
I
would like.
have not recommended Sejuani since she got reworked. She got reworked, and I've stopped playing her.
You need to try her with the rework. I had a
tried her. I played her
Yasuo.
a lot since the rework.
Now, see,
but
Josh would
ever
actually
since,
argue with you
not
that
liking it, I just stopped.
Josh would argue with you that she has too much trouble in the jungle right now. Like, after you had logged off that night, remember the night we played ranked 5s and he played Sejuani ones? He even said, he's like, I don't even like Sejuani in the jungle. She takes too much damage. She has to go back too often. Like, and it's too hard to control your buffs right now.
Yeah, that sounds about accurate.
You might as well play a Mumu.
Yeah.
For what it's worth,
She
sitting
doesn't
at
take that much
50%.
damage in the jungle. She takes way less damage than Pantheon does in the jungle, and she clears faster than he does.
Yeah, but she
Excuse
doesn't gank like he does.
She
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
be,
she also doesn't
however,
put on the pressure where you're putting the
she
enemy
can
team
be
running from you.
counter jungled very easily, so your team has to help protect you a little bit. So that's where it's annoying. When I play Sejuani, I always had to worry about that. But if I can maneuver through the jungle, get to my level 4 afterwards, it's
See, I never
it's
thought I
simple.
would say this, but I would rather people play a Mumu than Sejuani right now. If you guys remember watching this back in the day, it was-
Blasphemy!
right? It was play Sejuani,
our
go play
girl.
Mumu. But,
Burn him! Burn him!
At this point, I would rather people
don't know.
play a Mumu than Sejuani.
I have so much success with Sejuani. That one game I don't think I did, but I have a lot of success.
But you know what?
Recently.
You could
Over
be
the
one of those
weekend,
people that knows how to play Sejuani so well that you make it work for yourself. Like, I can't.
I
play
had people
Sejuani.
call her OP.
Yeah,
They're
but
like,
I did that before the
Sejuani's so
rework,
OP.
and then they changed that bitch.
You're
They changed
welcome.
that bitch.
You're welcome, Wrecker. We used to run fucking Sejuani and Anivia all the time. That was our go-to.
That was actually like probably the highest win rate we had.
I'm telling you, she can maneuver. She's got the. If you don't use her abilities right, you're definitely going to get your butt kicked. But
I don't believe you,
I
Bud.
had a Yasuo top, and he was on the ball every time I queued in.
Can't convince me.
Bam.
Sejuani's awful.
You
Can't
can't convince me either.
He's terrible.
Okay, you're awful at Sejuani. I'll compromise.
I like her, but I just like her conceptually. I think she's a real she just has a really cool design about her. As to her effectiveness, all junglers are the same in my mind. Whether they show up, they make my life hell for a little while, and then they go away. Then they're useless by the end of the game because they're asshole junglers. That's
like
my
that
attitude about
mentality.
junglers.
That's probably how everybody feels about me in solo queue. Asshole jungler.
If you guys didn't see my note, please log on League right now, especially you guys watching live. There's a 30-minute queue tonight, so if we want to play when we're done with this, do log into League.
I guess
Why
I
is
should
there-
log in.
Because
Oh,
the
I'm
servers-
already logging in and in queue. You said that, and I went to log in.
I did not
So I
do
think
that.
this next question is kind of funny because he talks about Vel'Koz, and he says Vel'Koz is an underwhelming kit. And I think this question came in before Vel'Koz was actually released. And we were
It did.
talking about his kit. So I'm just going to assume that came in and that Sheridan had not seen Vel'Koz at the point because we didn't either. But he writes in and he says, you guys once said that you would much rather see some champion reworks, visual updates than new champion releases. With Vel'Koz being released, do you think more will join and vocalize the same opinion? Also, what champions do you want to see a rework or visual update?
Visual
Sign
update.
Who
I
wasn't
want-
that? I think it was Dom the other day said like this is the league of, or this is the team of visual updates.
Fnatic ran just this gross looking team comp, like LeBlanc, Morgana.
Oh, I saw that tweet.
I want to say Caitlyn, but it was just a ton of champions who just absolutely need visual updates because they look so dated compared to the newer champions, the visual updates, all that type of thing. But yeah, Morgana, I think more than anybody right now, I want to have a visual update. She's getting a lot of play. She's a champion that I've always liked, and you can just her dress looks like one of those cones you put around a dog's neck. That's what it looks like, and that's what she's running around in. And it's just sort of like, okay, Riot, you've had time, you've developed better technology. Please fix your champions.
Yeah, what about rework?
Well, I wanted
What
to kind
champion
of
would
stick
you like
with
to see
the.
rework?
I want to stick with the visual update for a second because I'm googling something on my
We're
phone.
going to do separate visual updates and reworks, and then some that you would like to see both.
Well, no, I wanted to talk about this one real quick because they had Riot Scruffy, if I remember correctly, or is Iron Stylus. I actually have the post right here. I'm trying to pull up. They were talking about Caitlyn and why they haven't updated her yet.
Right,
okay.
I've read all about that. Basically, it's they don't want to make Hex Tech become just like basic generic steampunk, which is kind of what Caitlyn fulfills right now. So what they have to do is what they're trying to do is figure out what exactly Hex Tech is, and Vi really got them a lot closer to that, or not. Vi and Jinx got them a lot closer to understanding what they want to do with that. But then even from there, they want Caitlyn to be sort of an individual within the realm of Hextech and not like the baseline average for it and everything. But right now, she's basically hat and gun lady, and they're not really thrilled with that.
I think I need to play Snagglewoof's audio at the end of this podcast now about Caitlyn. Because someone got very salty about Caitlyn, so you guys have to
Well, it was Snagglewoolf. You already revealed that.
Yes, right.
About his gears.
As far as kit reworks go, and I guess for the purposes of this question, I'm taking out champions like Scion and Warwick, who've already been discussed pretty heavily by Riot as like in progress reworks, that type of thing. I kind of feel like Galio needs some attention. I think they could make him a far more interesting champion, like within the scope of the fantasy that they're trying to fulfill. But they would have to do some heavier work than just numbers retuning on him to really accomplish that.
I mean, we've talked about Galio in the past and how he could be played, and while he would become Malphite if you changed it so he had a shield that was scaling at MR, I don't think he needs an entire kit retool, kind of like a Scion. I do think he needs some adjustments and numbers and adjustment in how his kit works, but like he's very iconic with his ultimate and being able to jump in and be
I like
Idol
his ult.
Durand.
But like I don't think, for the most part, I don't think his kit is interesting. Aside from like his ult is the only interesting part about his kit, and I feel like with that champion they could do a lot more with him.
The only parts I don't like about his kit, I really just don't like his E. I think having that speed up, an ability that speeds you up and does damage.
But
doesn't
even
really make
his
sense.
W, like it's very boring. There's nothing visual to it. It's very boring. A lot of people don't even understand how it works, and that like you give resistances, but then he gets healed. What the fuck's
They
going
get
on
healed.
there?
Everybody
We're talking about
gets healed.
Galio?
Yeah, it's whoever has a shield on him gets healed. It's not just Galio.
No.
Yes.
Each time that unit takes damage, Galio is healed.
Anytime
Galio's
the
the only
shielded
one who's
unit
healed
takes
when he
damage,
puts a
Galio's
shield,
healed.
I
but
thought the
Galio-
other person got healed as well.
Galio
from it.
can shield
Okay.
himself and take damage and get healed.
Right,
Yes.
I knew that.
But all that does is illustrates my point. Nobody even understands what W does.
I knew it because I love Galio. He's one of my
Right.
favorite champions, so fuck you, Dom.
I understood
think
every
he could kinda
part.
have
For
a
some reason, I
rework.
was thinking that it also healed the person it went on. But I know it gives resistances. It gives magic resist. And
But you're not the only person out there that thinks the person who gets bulwark also gets healed.
right.
That's a common misperception about Galio.
You see, I don't have a problem with anything. I loved Idol Durand because I think that he's a gargoyle. He becomes a gargoyle. Like I know.
So I
listen
think
to me.
Idol Durand is
Can
fantastic.
I finish my sentence, Dom?
No.
No.
Jesus Christ, kids.
You just got told, bitch.
No, I'm done. I'm done with Galio. I don't want to
All right.
talk about him anymore.
Anyway, the rest of you, visual updates, reworks.
No, Scion's my big one that I want to see. And Warwick. I'd like to see a visual update on Warwick, but
I'd love to
Scion,
see
the
a visual
complete
update.
kit,
Hell yeah.
is in dire need.
Yeah, we've talked about Scion.
Yeah, Scion's
here.
in bad shape.
Yeah, he's pretty awful right now. I think we had Chi-Chi the other week playing Scion jungle, and he did absolutely nothing. Except for get counter jungled and run around. And he's Scion. He has a stud. Congratulations.
He used to be real good, and something kicked him out. Everybody outshines him now, so.
New champions, masteries. I mean, you can probably blame anything and
Yeah.
everything on it.
It wasn't even that he was real good before. It was just he used to like stomp idiots. Like that's
Yeah,
all.
I mean that was
I'm gonna say he
season
still does,
one when
though.
he was good.
I mean, yeah, he still does kind of stomp idiots.
Remember all the videos with Scion and nothing but Bloodthirsters and Trinitimirs, and they would duel each other and see who died first, even through his ult, and Scion would always win.
Scion
I never saw that.
No.
Yeah,
We used to-
Scion's ult, Trinitimir's ult.
Wrecker, we used to play 80 Scion in the bottom lane. 80 Scion Nautilus. Do you remember that?
Embarrassingly, yes, I do remember that.
And
I
everyone
think
had-
it actually worked out like once, and
Yeah.
then it wasn't like we played it. We just randomly played it one time. It worked out really well, and then we tried it a couple more times, and it didn't work out, but we still played it.
because we were scrubs. I don't think I even like used his E properly, like to gain life when I was like it's one of those times you don't have any fucking clue what you're doing. You're just playing it because it seems cool. He's got an ultimate that heals.
Just because fuck it, why not?
All right, I think it's is this Adon or Aton?
Aton.
Aiden.
Aiden.
Aton.
Aton.
Let's go with
Adam.
Aton.
Adam Bob writes in, how do you guys handle friends who believe they're extremely skilled and knowledgeable?
How do we handle each other?
Yeah.
Yeah, how do I handle the other three guys I'm talking to right now?
How do you handle people who think Sejuani sucks?
The guys that always blame
I don't
their
think that I know
teammates
it,
for their
asshole.
mistakes when they won't listen to any kind of reason. Well, I think we listen to reason sometimes.
Right, I don't think he's actually directing
No.
this at us.
No, that's not the actual conversation we're supposed to have. How do you deal with friends? I just tell Pone how it is. I'm like, you're a fucking idiot. That's wrong.
That's kind of that's the relationship we have between each
Yeah.
other. We just
I kind of think it depends on the friend and, like you just said, the relationship you have with that person, and frankly, how frequently you want to play with him or her. If you're playing once every month and a half with this person, it's really not that big of a deal. Just like have a less fun night once and then go back to doing your normal thing the next day. But if you play with, go ahead.
I was going to say, and based on that, if you value your friendship more than you value winning that match or winning matches while playing League, then just say, yeah, sure, smile and nod.
that's how we treat Nicole.
And then when they complain, be like, shit happens, let's move on to the next one.
Except for he never complains and he never surrenders. This guy, too nice.
Doesn't surrender. You're like, but if you're close to the person or you're playing with him or her like pretty regularly and everything, sooner or later, outside of the game, but sooner or later you like should sit down and kind of have a conversation and be like, look, I know that you're getting
You're in
frustrated
bronze
with
'cause
these
you
certain
belong in
things,
bronze.
but yeah, like part of your problem is really your own attitude about the game, and you're gonna just sort of stay where you're at until you fix this about yourself.
That's a good point, and don't do it in the heat of a game when
Don't
shit's
do it in
going
the
wrong.
heat of a-
Don't do it in the
right.
heat of a game or even after a game as like, oh my God, this is what you did wrong, because they're going to be seeing red because that's the type of individual you're describing. So instead, I like what Dom said, wait till later. Sit down with them and say, all right, by the way, I've been meaning to talk to you about this. Bam.
Like it's a great conversation to have if you two meet up at like a bar or grab lunch or something during the day. Like it's way easier to broach it when it's face to face. I know it sounds difficult because these are conversations people don't want to have, but like if everybody's at even ground and mood like emotions are not high or anything, it's a much easier conversation to have.
And then at some point, everybody realizes like they just got to grow up and take criticisms. So
Yeah.
you're only helping them in the long run.
Yeah.
Got a bunch of spammers in Twitch chat here.
Yeah, I want to know what the hell's going on. Why is suddenly my Twitch chat going YOLO and swag?
They are.
But what started this YOLO swag spam?
I don't know.
Looks like just genuine listeners, and then all of a sudden we got some bots or something coming in.
Nightbot said anarchy, and I don't know what's going on anymore.
Nightbot needs to get on the ball.
I was like, where's my moderator, damn it?
Nightbot should say anarchy more often.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you,
thanks,
Snag.
Snaggle, for
All right.
finally
Snaggle
stepping up
said it
and
felt
doing
good
a
baiting
job.
people. By the way, did we play his Nightbot wrestling Randy the Macho Man Savage bit?
No, I forgot to actually
Yeah.
put it on the Nightbot attacks.
We
episode.
played that at the beginning of this episode, by the way, so this is obsolete.
Oh, you're right. It is obsolete. After
for
we
the
talk
MP3.
about- Just so much stuff I gotta add and so many coughs I have
Glad
to
you enjoyed it.
kick
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, you took a cough. Edit out like all my bronchitis coughs. Have fun with that.
Dom's over here all proper though. He's got a napkin and he's coughing into and everything.
Very gentlemanly. I like it.
That damn it.
I've
One of
been
our
coughing
listeners
into
commented
this.
on it.
I got a whole box of tissue over here that I'm coughing into. Don't
Is
don't
that
be
what
hating.
the tissue's for? Coughing?
Don't be hating.
Coughing.
Well, that's not what it's for, but it happened to be here.
I wonder. Well, your computer. All right, moving on to the next question. Alex writes in, I want to know how much influence a shot caller should have throughout the game. Is it just saying yes or no to big plays in the moment, or more like a team captain and trying to make decisions throughout the game? How do you guys do it? I can actually answer this question because Josh and I had quite a bit of conversation about how we should be doing shot calling. Because as it moves into mid and late game, once I leave top lane, I become much more vocal for the team and trying to make calls. But like early game, with the way my team worked, and it had to be Josh making all the calls. But we came to a point we never understood when to make that transition. So we finally had to come down to a point and say, you are making all the calls, and if you make a call over me, we're following your call. So you have to pick that one person, the dedicated shot caller, and follow them and listen to every single thing they're trying to say. That person should understand what is going on around the entire map, should understand where your team is at, and understand what should be the next best objective to take as a team. Wrecker and I went through this for a little while where it was trial and error. We had to say, we don't have a dedicated shot caller, so Wrecker's going to do it this week. And if Wrecker says we're diving 4v5, we are diving 4v5 and we're going to do it, and we're going to figure out what happened.
Most of the time it worked.
Yeah.
Typically, it's the support or the jungler who fulfills this role, because during laning, they don't have to focus as much on the individual mechanics, and they can focus more on what's going on, like specifically throughout the entire map.
And the jungler moving across the entire map.
Yeah, I mean, I think the jungler is the best candidate for at the very least, the early game shot caller. Whoever, like, kind of anybody can do it through mid and late game. Probably not the marksman because positioning and all other reasons. But
yeah, I think the jungler really is the best one. Like even in solo queue, you'll see the junglers controlling the pace of the game, like every game.
Junglers that take charge.
Mid is awful though to be a take charge side because they are in the middle of the map. They can see what's going on. They should know where the jungler's at all the time. And mid should, out of any of the other roles besides jungle, should know where the jungler's at all the time because of how short the lane is and how the lack of wards that you have because you have to cover two sides.
And they can get jump from both sides. Yeah.
Exactly. So mid's not bad, but when you are picking that shot caller and understanding how a shot caller works, it is whoever has the most understanding of the game, whoever has the most understanding of how the game is being played. And that person, and also you need someone that's very vocal and is not afraid to tell the team to shut the fuck up. We're going here and we're going here now. Listen to my call.
Not even necessarily of someone who has like the best game knowledge, but somebody who has the best knowledge of how champions interact with each other. Because if you're telling your team to go somewhere and you're going into a 3v3 against like a Lee Sin and you have an Amumu jungle, you're probably fucking done for.
Good point.
You gotta have somebody who knows those champion matchups.
Right.
And the best knowledge of just the rotations and the timers. Okay, Dragon's coming up soon, guys. Let's get into position and prep for this fight.
And timers
is
huge.
100% a jungler's job anyway.
Huge. And even once you have the timers down and everything, knowing when you need to start preparing for that certain objective, like it's really difficult just to figure that out. I can't tell you, like, just the number of times we played Dragon is spawning in 10 seconds. We really should have been calling that out 30 seconds or a minute ahead of time, and everybody should have gone back to base to prepare for that, not tried to farm out the last 2 or 3 minions to get the pickaxe.
That's actually something I've been doing really good in solo queue this last week is calling out Dragon a minute ahead, and I've noticed the number of dragons I get in solo queue and the number of games I win is highly correlated. So why not just try your hardest to control that dragon?
Mm-hmm.
And the dragon continues to help you snowball. It's one of those, once you're ahead, get more ahead. And dragon will continue to get you ahead if you can't take towers.
And another big reason the jungler camps the bot lane.
And then shot calling becomes really important the mid to late game. Even if you're winning, okay, let's not get stagnant and go to farm our lanes and then let them regain advantage. You need a shot caller to keep things in line and to say, okay, we need to either go for Baron, we need to bait Baron, we need to go push the lane, we need to have Pwn, you go top with Olaf and side push, whatever it might be. And you have to, that's where it's really important to have that shot caller. So
I think some of the biggest thing, this is where people, I think a great place to start calling shots, one is Dragon, but two is understanding when to peel off a Baron. And this happens in solo queue.
Oh my god!
And that's got to be before the enemy team gets there. Your team has to know, okay, we're peeling off Baron and fighting them, unless it's under so much health.
Right. If it's at 2,500 or 3,000 life, everybody stay on Baron. We're finishing Baron because of how quickly we're taking. But you have to also realize how quickly. There's so many different. I don't want to say rules, but there's just so many different scenarios that can happen. That
there's an infinite number of variables that happen every game that everybody has to take into consideration, and it's impossible to know them all.
Which is why it's really good to have a shot caller who is comfortable with many games and has that experience. So if everybody listens to that shot caller, at least you're all on the same page. Even if you made the wrong call, you're on the same page with it.
I mean, I definitely got to say this. It is better for 5 people to follow a bad call than for 4 people to follow it and 1 person to ignore it.
I agree.
If somebody makes a call and everybody else on your team follows it and you think it's a bad call, you are screwing your team more by not following that call than by that person who made the bad call.
Right.
I mean, just think about in solo queue how many times you've been in a game and you've had like 4 or 5 team fights and you win like 3 out of them, but you just know because you all followed this one call, you came out advantageous more often.
Even just stuff like you win a big team fight, you lost one team member, somebody makes a call for Baron, and 3 of your team go over there, and you decide, no, doing Baron is a bad call, I'm going to go counter jungle and take the enemy's blue. You are the one who screwed your team, not the guy who made the call for Baron.
The exception being there are times when, say, like, for a fact the enemy does not have vision on Baron, and you want to stay in a lane and push the lane just to give the illusion, like, hey, my team's definitely not at Baron, don't worry. Like, I'm not over there helping them.
But that's a different strategic move than just disagreeing with the call for Baron and going to do your own thing.
Definitely.
And, you got to communicate what you're doing if you're staying in lane for a specific reason like that. Because, I mean... Unless
it's solo queue, they see you staying in that lane, and you're like, do Baron, they're waiting for you. They're like, no, come on, dumbass, come do Baron with us, and they don't realize they could do it without you.
Yeah, that's you just always have to communicate that.
So that's the problem between different like ranked 5s or playing with the team in solo queue. Solo queue, it's hard to communicate all that information. Especially, I'm going to go here because they're doing it, or I have teleport up. I'm going to come in and help the fight out. I shouldn't be there helping out to do a lot of damage. Like Twisted Fate a lot of times would teleport in because he doesn't do a lot of damage to Baron, while you have Vayne or somebody that can take it down with the Blade of the Ruined King very quickly.
Right. And then also, like, let's say it's a hard thing to overcome is you see a big wave of enemy minions coming. You want to go out there and farm it, but Baron's up and it's a possible contention point, and you don't want to be that far away from Baron. You don't have teleport. You don't have much mobility, blah, blah, blah. It's also the shot caller's responsibility to say, okay, Lucian, clear bot real quick. So-and-so, go here, prep for this, clear wards, I'll support you, etc. You control the map, and you kind of give orders, kind of like a commander. So I think having that commander and everyone listening and obeying the commander, that's the way to go.
I'm laughing because there's also nothing like seeing everybody group up and then being that team that realizes the opponent marksman is off farming some lane. There's just nothing.
Oh, yeah,
there's no better feeling. It's like, all right, he's gone. I don't care if we have to tower dive 5v4. You pounce on that shit right now.
Who was it in the LCS? They were, I forget, it was a while ago, a couple weeks ago. Junglers, like, he was asked in an interview, what made your decision to go on Baron or to go off Baron at this point? And he's like, well, because so-and-so told me so. He said, do this. And I said, okay.
Yeah, right. I'm going to listen. We
bam.
The shot caller.
Respect the call.
All right, guys. I think that's it for the podcast this week. We're just under an hour. And with the intro and you guys will have an hour of podcast to listen to. So, guys, don't forget to go check out the Audible trial, audible.com or audibletrial.com/T-Force podcast. Please help support the podcast. The T-Force LCS podcast does need a few extra bit of equipment. And with all your donations, that is helping us get this out and on time. So don't forget to go check out the OzLOL podcast. You guys can go help out them as well. We're trying to get them more equipment, so donating to the podcast also helps there if you guys are enjoying what they have to offer. For those of you that have wrote in or emailed us and said, I can't find these podcasts, they are on the front page of trinityforcepodcast.com. Look at the right-hand side. We have a hub coming. I think I said 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, so it should be here next week, but it won't be.
You need to stop giving time frames.
Well, it was working.
Right? You just don't give people a time frame, they don't have an expectation.
I do that because then I'm like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna make it do it by this time because I have to get out, and then life gets in the way. So anyway, hub eventually coming, people coming, podcasts. Love you all.
Good close.
People come, podcast good. Listen
Words.
now.
Thanks, Wrecker, for joining, and thanks for whipping out.
Yeah, thank you, Wrecker.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Now, fuck you. See you guys next week.
Fuck you, asshole.
Bye.